More Heart Than Talent Radio.
Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated, Facebook Live, Tuesday, beautiful Tuesday in Northern California. Today, I have a great live for you today on acceptance and accepting where you are, knowing where you are going. Now, in the groundbreaking book, Letting Go by the great late David Hawkins, he covers that in a section on acceptance. And acceptance means I am comfortable with who I am, where I am, and I'm also comfortable with the vision of the future that I am creating. So if you are watching this content today, this content is specifically for you on how to let go. So if you're following me here today, we're having a little technical difficulty here for just 1 second, and we're going to be right back. Here we go. So if you're watching this content today, it's going to be some great insight for you on the ability to let go, which is a theme of a lot of my one-on-one coaching, my mentoring, and then my speaking that I do every single Saturday. Now this Saturday, I'll be in Portsmouth, New Hampshire with Abby O'Neill. Abby has been my client since 2015. She's unequivocally one of the best inspirational leaders that I've ever had the privilege of collaborating with and coaching. So Abby, thank you for hosting me in beautiful Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Next Saturday, I will be in one of the beautiful areas of the world, Montana. I've had the privilege in speaking in Great Falls, Missoula, Bozeman, and now Billings for the first time in my career. So Beth Hennings is also the host of the Billings event. So looking forward to next Saturday, that would be April 27th. And then the following week, I have the Protégé Writer Speakers Workshop, and then I'll be right back out on the road for the month of May, June, and July. So if you would like me to speak for your team in your city, feel free to contact me, inbox me in Facebook, and I'll return your message as soon as possible. If you have not taken advantage of my one-on-one free 20-minute coaching and you're considering hiring me, well, feel free to take advantage of that also by messaging me in my inbox, and I'll return your message ASAP. Very proud to announce the Jeffery Sobriety Consciousness Group that I will be launching here before the end of this month or early in the month of May. It will be a group devoted to recovery, sobriety, and letting go. It will be a free group to join, and I will be seeking a group of 20 founders who have coached with me at least a year and want to be a part of the founding members and the inner circle of the culture of that group page. So if that is you and you want to be an inner circle member, feel free to message me. Now today's content, I'm going to move right into the inner game, the inner content of today's content. Acceptance. So acceptance means honesty. I can honestly and clearly, objectively let you know that I'm a recovering addict. I mean, that's how you learn to be able to say this. You learn to be able to be honest about yourself. I'm recovering from being sensitive and defensive, or I'm way too sensitive and defensive. I recognize that, I can accept it, and I'm in the process of recovery. I'm not where I should be. I look around and I see other people, and I can't believe that they're rank advancing. They're a ruby, they're a diamond, they're a 2-star, they're a left star, they're a right star, they're a north star, they're a south star. Well, accept where you are. Don't compare yourself with someone else, and don't compete with other people. Consciousness is not competitive. Consciousness is awareness, it's understanding, it's knowing. Now, I'm not suggesting that healthy competition isn't healthy, but when competition is unhealthy, then it creates jealousy, resentment, abandonment, and rejection, which then keeps you in a very low vibrational, emotional, energetic state. But as you begin to accept that you're changing, you accept that you're in recovery, you accept that you're learning, you're growing, you accept that you're letting go, then you're not living in a place called critical. If you're critical of yourself, then that's an addiction, and you can spend the whole day not being good enough. But as you begin to separate your feelings from the events that shape them, I see Amy Gilbert is on the call here today. Amy, congratulations on your successes. Lisa Faye Pazanza, one of my all-time favorite clients. Thank you. Both Amy and Lisa, you've both coached with me for years, And both of you, I know, are moving to a level of acceptance. Amy sent me a message this morning letting me know that she's really in that state of acceptance, and she's starting to attract to reality people and situations that are much more enlightening. Now, if you've been violated and picked on your whole life, accept that, because that's either a fact or a fiction. But you want to also be able to understand that there are events that shape feelings that creates that reality. And as you begin to accept that, accept the fact that your life has flaws in it, accept the fact that you have emotional relapses, now you can move into a state called honesty. And it's in that honesty that you start to understand, you're aware, and you're able to trust. But when you live in the neocortex of your left brain, the analytical, egoic mind that says, I don't understand, I'm trying to wrap my brain around it, that doesn't make sense. Well, an addict always wants a little more. And people that are emotionally addicted to a set of feelings will recreate the same situation over and over to fulfill the feeling that is called a payoff. I ask my clients frequently, what is your payoff? And unfortunately, most people don't want to accept that what they're creating over and over is the same situation to fulfill a neurochemical craving that they're emotionally addicted to. Now, when you can accept that's why you do what you do or what you do, now you can move into a state of letting go. Letting go allows you to separate your feelings from events. That's what raises consciousness. When you're holding on to the guardrail, when you're holding on to the baseball bat, when you got your fingers so tight in the bowling ball that you can't let go of it, well, you're going to throw it right down the gutter, and then you're going to be disappointed. Now, if you're like my man Pietro Avesano, Pietro recently rolled a perfect game. Now, that is awesome. So it means he had a perfect bowling game. However, your objective is not to be perfect every time. And he knows he's not going to roll a perfect game every time, but now he has a muscle memory. He knows that can happen more frequently. When you're no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings, now you can step into a place called consciousness. Understand, know, I'm aware. I know I'm right here and I'm right, and it's right now. I can accept that. I can accept I'm not where I want to be, but I'm letting go of the control of trying to be where I think I should so I can be here right now. I'm able to separate my feelings from the events, and I know I can change who and what I attract. Now, that's the communication that starts to foster change. That's let go communication. Hold on communication is I'm going to hold on to all the stuff in my garage because I might require it one day. I'm not going to sell it for pennies on the dollars because one day I may be able to sell it full value. I'm not going to put something out on the street so someone that can go by who might be able to use it and see the value in it can pick it up for free. I'm going to hold on to it forever, never sell it, romance that someday I'm going to get full market value from it. Unfortunately, that's why people hoard. That's why they hold on to stuff. Because of sentimentality, because of the perceived value in the future, because I might require it someday. I require my yearbook that I never have looked at for the last 37 years. Instead of using it for kindling, what many people use it is just to pile things on. And when you continue to pile things on top of things, what you're doing is you're creating a tolerance. Now, when you're emotionally addicted to a set of feelings, it's because you have an emotional tolerance to those feelings based on events that are unresolved. And when you start to move into a state of consciousness and recovery, now you're elevating your energy. But if you relapse back and forth, then that's the inconsistent emotional state that most people live in. That's the cardio cocktail of the neurochemical high created by a payoff that even though you don't think it rewards you, you're getting a benefit from it because it keeps you from failing, keeps you from succeeding, and keeps you from being responsible. Now, the more you understand that, the more you're aware of that, you stop trying to wrap your brain around it. When you start letting go of that, doesn't make sense. See, when you stop letting go of the word sense, because that's C-E-N-T-S or S-E-N-S-E, that's the neocortex of your left brain. That's the brain of reason. Well, being in recovery isn't logical. Being in recovery is a commitment. And when you're committed one day at a time, now you're creating a new set of neurons that wire and fire that form a new set of feelings that represent consciousness. And it's in that conscious, aware state that you can accept where you are and move into a place called change. And as you begin to change the way you've been changing, you'll begin to attract other agents of change who are seeking change. This is where one or more of like mind come together for a common cause called the Mastermind Alliance. In the great book, 1937, by Napoleon Hill, he breaks that down in great detail on the Mastermind Alliance. Now, in Hill's early career, Andrew Carnegie was his mentor. Carnegie gave him letters of introduction for him to go out and meet men of influence and affluence who were very influential and affluential at the turn of the century. They became very iconic, became millionaires and billionaires of that time. And these were great minds that Hill had the opportunity to interview. Over a 20-year period, he compiled that data. He wrote his first book called Laws of Success in 1928, and then the groundbreaking book, Think and Grow Rich, followed by Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. Then he wrote another great book in collaboration with the great W. Clement Stone in 1951 called Believe and Achieve. Now, I've read Hill's content back to back on many, many occasions. It's great inner insight. And I've read Hawkins, I've read Dr. Joe Dispenza, I read many. John Assaraf is a very good friend of mine. So the inner game of neuroscience, understanding why the brain does it what it does and the body does what it does. But when you're able to separate your feelings from the events, now you create an alignment. But when you hold on to situations, now you create separations. When you accept where you are, now you're in alignment. But when you have challenges where you are and you continue to criticize yourself or be jealous and envious of other people, now you're creating resentment. And when your telecommunications, when your unconscious emotional state comes from resentment, you're going to find people to reject you so that you can resent them. You're going to set prospects up to disappoint you. You're going to set teammates up to disappoint you because you're not where you should be. When you let go of that rope, I'm right. And you let go of that rope and you go, wow, I don't want to be right. I want to be rich. And I don't want to be right. I want to be in recovery. When you let go of that control that keeps you in control of being out of control, now you're not as uptight. Now you're not as tense. Now you're not as angry. Now you're not resentful. Now you're in a place called awareness, consciousness. And it's in that state that you can accept where you are. I have the hardest time admitting that I'm an addict. Well, that's cool. If you have the hardest time, it's going to be very difficult for you to move into recovery. And that's addict talk. That's how many addicts talk. Now, when I'm communicating to you addicts, I'm not necessarily saying drug addicts and alcoholics. I'm saying this: when you do the same thing over and over, when you create disappointment frequently, when you criticize yourself frequently, and you live in the same state of overwhelm, well, you're addicted to those feelings. But as you begin to become aware of that, you know that, and you're committed to the let go process, this is how you change who and what you attract. Women always pick on me. Men always pick on me. This always happens to me. I always am late. When you create these kinds of absolutes, you've already created the outcome before you got there, so you can be disappointed. It's going to be your responsibility to accept that being disappointed is an emotional addiction that you recreate over and over to fulfill feelings that are unresolved about being abandoned and rejected. Now, when you start to accept that, you go, that can be what is called an aha moment. Now, aha moments, that's when synchronicity starts to happen more frequently. Now your vision begins to change. Now the parking space that was always there is visible. Now you may miss the parking space because you're so used to parking in the back, because you already said the parking lot's going to be full when I get there. Oh my God, parking is horrible. Traffic is horrible. Well, I was on the 405 Saturday coming home from Los Angeles, and my driver, Ray Cataline, I noticed we were on Sepulveda, which is on the side street of the 405, and we were flying down Sepulveda, while on the right to the left of us were 6 lanes of traffic, 12 actually going north-south, both ways, south this way, north that way, while Ray was driving this way on a side street called Sepulveda, and we were able to make it home in record time. But if we just sat in 405 traffic and just accepted it, well, it would have been 6.5 hours. That's the difference between being resourceful, creative, and innovative, rather than following along the status quo. Rather than just sitting there going, oh my God, I can't believe it. Is there a wreck? Is there a wreck? What's the navigation say? How long? Now, when you live in that kind of state of consciousness, now you're impatient. And what many people have challenges with is being impatient. I'm not a patient person. I've never been patient. Well, you better get some humility, Chief, because if you're not patient in this game, then you're going to be out of it before you're even in it. Because you're not entitled success. You may have success principles and success qualities, and you've read success books, but results aren't about entitlement. Results are about production. And if you're not highly productive and you avoid production because you have anxiety about failing or succeeding, and you can't really accept that, well, it doesn't make sense. I don't understand. I've read all of it. I know that. This is the one that's just classic with me. Yeah, I understand. I already know that. Really? If you knew it, you'd be practicing recovery. If you knew it, you'd be living in let go. Because when you admit that you don't know it, now you can change. Humility cannot be humiliated. The truly humble person cannot be humiliated. But when you lack humility, now you have arrogance. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you're an arrogant human being, but it means your analytical, egoic self that has to be right has challenges letting go, has challenges admitting your own character defects. And if you ever did step 4 in a 12-step program, it says take moral inventory in self and where others make reparations when necessary. And that's the paraphrase situation of step 4 in the 12 steps and 12 traditions of all 12-step programs. Now, when you start to move into that place, now you're asking for forgiveness. And when you're asking for someone forgiveness, you don't make an excuse. Well, the situation was, I drank a little too much. I blacked out, and you know how it is. It doesn't happen very often. But instead of just saying, you know what, I was absolutely out of line. Would you humbly accept my apology? And then you let it go. And if that person doesn't accept your apology, you're not responsible, and you're not holding on to a term called bitterness, and you're not holding on to resentment. You're moving into a higher state of consciousness called love, because you're in love with this process of recovery. You're in love with this process of innovation. You're in love with the process of life. And as you move into that state, you begin to neutralize the haters, the resenters, the people who put you in a position to validate, justify, and explain yourself, and you can accept it. See, when you accept and you go, I don't understand, I don't get these people, you would think that they would drink 2 shakes. You would think that they would use the products, services, benefits, and features that are on their shelf. I don't understand why these people have $2,000 worth of product. Well, why don't you? Because if you don't understand, that means you're in denial. And as you continue to stay in denial, that means that you're in a place called anxiety, fear, and doubt. That means you virtually require someone to feel these feelings. You require someone to resent. You require someone to reject you. You require someone to be sensitive and defensive. Because that's the payoff you receive by being able to hold on. Now, there is no payoff when you let go because you're not looking for that kind of conflict. In letting go, you're looking for love, you're looking for meaning, you're looking for purpose, you're looking for outcomes, you're coming from service and value, and you're not competing with anyone. And self-esteem doesn't compete with itself because self-esteem is love. And in love, there is no competition because love is love. Love is not winning and losing. Love is the ability to transmute feelings and emote feelings of goodwill, ambassadorship, being able to share the wealth with people. And there's no competition in that. And there's no piousness, envy, jealousy. In situations like that, you're able to let go easily and effortlessly. And in that kind of self-esteem, you don't require an explanation from people. You don't require an apology from people. You're able to easily and effortlessly let go. If you ever get stuck in the legal system in any situation, you want to understand that the wheels of justice grind slowly. If you've been in a divorce, a lawsuit, or any situation like that, you don't want to focus on the mounting legal bills. You don't want to focus on how the other person's wrong. You want to focus on production. Because if you can go sideways in a heartbeat in that kind of situation. You want to be able to focus on results and solutions and let your attorneys or let whoever is handling that, let them do what they do. And sometimes you also have to be in command of that also, because you may find that the people you've hired aren't the right people. And sometimes it's going to be your responsibility to create the decision that's going to be best for you without feeling selfish or without blaming someone else. And when you move into that state of awareness, that's acceptance. And in acceptance, you're able to accept acceptance. So In that state, and I see Elizabeth Shoemaker is on here, so hi Elizabeth. So love having my coaching clients here. Jennifer Myers, I'm going to be able to see many of you at the Protege Writers Speakers Workshop May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in beautiful Northern California. So I see Michelle, good to see you this afternoon. So Frank Pecoraro, one of my all-time favorite homeboys right there. So accept where you are. I look down at my physique and I can't believe I'm this overwhelmed and I'm this overweight. Well, believe it, because that's what's happening. And as you accept that, now you can move into the place called recovery. And in recovery, you can release organically. Your body will change on its own. You won't feel the same compulsion. You won't feel the same aggression. You won't feel the same desire to drink, stuff your feelings, binge eat, be anorexic, bulimic, compulsively debt, be a sex addict, any multitude of situations that your lower self, your low self-esteem craves to be in apathy, to be in disappointment, to be able to be in hate, resentment, and anger. And when you direct that at you, you're also going to direct it at others. So you can't possibly attract your reality, the type of people you require to build a loving, lasting relationship in business or life. Because when you're in that type of energy, you're going to attract your reality, the perpetrators, the violators, the people who resent you, the people who are jealous. Then you're going to stay in the state, I don't understand this. I'm a good person. I can't believe this happens to me. Well, being a good person is an asset, but being a good person does not guarantee sobriety. Being a good person does not guarantee success. You can go out and be a good person all day long, and you can avoid succeeding by being a good person. You can be good all day long, and you can have fanfare for the common man. You can be out there helping people, which are great assets to the community and to life, but that does not give you the opportunity to be successful. Now, you can be successful being an ambassador of change and doing random acts of kindness and charitable. But if you resent the fact that you're not successful in the business, then you have to separate what I'm doing over here that's good and then say, well, I'm good over here, so I should be good here. And I should get rewarded for being good. Well, it doesn't work that way. You get rewarded for production, and production is results. That's toiling laboriously into the midnight hour, producing the results, creating the repetition and experience over and over. The emotional muscle of recovery, the emotional muscle of asking the questions in a sequence about the outcome you seek. Over this weekend, I had 5 people come up to me and say, Mr. Combs, Jeffrey, I am going to hire you, but. And one woman said to me, trust me. Well, I don't trust you because my business isn't based on trust. My business is based on results. And even though she wanted me to trust her, it's not that she's not a trusting soul, but she wanted to seduce me into believing that down the road, in the future, in the far horizon, in the next galaxy, in the next century, that somehow mythically, magically, whatever it is, see, what you're looking for, people who can commit. Acceptance is a commitment. I commit to accept where I am. I commit to have a clearer vision of the outcome I seek, and I will put the energy in with the one day at a time action that will create the results that will compensate me and others to create collaboration and teamwork. I mean, you communicate that however you want. I'm very skilled at writing my own affirmations. Write some of your own. I also have an affirmation card deck. In my newest book, The Breakthrough Factor, gives you great insight into cause and effect and why you do what you do. Now, here you are. It's 2019. Yesterday was tax day, April 15th. What that means, 3.5 months of the calendar year, the year of our Lord 2019, is in the books. And so what does that mean to you? It means that if you're not in action, in activity, in centrifugal power, if you're not in the undertow, if you're not producing results, then there's a high probability you're avoiding. And if you're stuck in this place, I'm not sure if I'm avoiding success or avoiding failure, but I know I'm avoiding, then let go of your anxiety about outcomes that have not happened. And as you're able to separate your feelings from the events about being rejected, being abandoned, not being good enough, making a mistake, getting in trouble, saying the wrong thing, saying the right thing, any multitude of situations, now you're parting the water of the past regret and the future anxiety so you can live right here, right now. That's called acceptance. I am starting over. And if you're starting over, accept it with gratitude. If you just ended a relationship, accept it instead of going, oh, I hate that person. Well, instead of hating that person, forgive that person. That doesn't mean you have to love them, but forgive them, because if you use them as your excuse to stay angry, now what you are is angry being angry. And when you're angry, it means you're intense. And that intensity is typically not the intensity that people are looking for. Now, when you relax in that intensity, you can channel that intensity into a word called passion. And it's that passion, that inspiration, that'll actually drive the bus on your journey on the successful highway to freedom that you are seeking. My name is Jeffery Combs, president and founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. Now, if you are seeking a one-on-one 20-minute coaching session, send me a message in my inbox and I will get back to you immediately. In May 11th, I'll be in one of my favorite cities, St. Louis, Missouri. As a child, I went to many St. Louis Cardinal games at Busch Stadium. And on Friday night, you will find me in a place called The Hill. That's the Italian section of St. Louis, where my boy Charlie Gito owns Charlie Gito. Charlie Gito is one of my best friend's cousins. That is one of the number one Italian restaurants in St. Louis. So I'll be in St. Louis May 11th. May 18th, Cara DeSico is going to be hosting me in New York. It's going to be in Tarrytown, New York. I'm looking forward to that. And then in June, I'm starting to fill the June event. So looking forward to seeing many of you at a live More Heart Than Talent one-day event. Also, I'll be releasing content for the Jeffery Combs Sobriety Consciousness page. And once again, if you want to be a founding member, you can let me know. I'm going to accept 20 people that have coached with me for at least 1 year to be founding members. I want to thank you for being here on this Facebook Live today, and you have a great day.